بینەرانی بەڕێز ئەم کاتەوە هەموو کاتێکتان شاد و کامەران جارێکی تر لە دووهۆکی ڕەنجینەوە لەگەڵتانین لە دیداری ئاشتی و ئاسایشی ڕۆژهەڵاتی ناوەڕاست. میوانی ئەم کاتەمان زۆر بەڕێز دەیڤ وۆڵەس کاندیدی کۆماریەکان بۆ کۆنگرێسی ئەمریکا. Mr. Dave, thank you very much. First of all, good morning, and thank you very much for this interview with Kurdistan 24.
Well, thank you for having me today.
You're welcome.
And it's a real pleasure to see you.
Thank you. Mr. Dave, let me ask you this question. It's just a very common question. What do you think about holding this forum here in Duhok about peace and security? And as you know, there is no peace, no security, no stability in the whole Middle East and Iraq. So what do you think about holding this conference here?
Well, you have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And when you're all the way at the bottom, there's only up.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no lower level unless it was full armed conflict. And today we're talking about peace.
Yes.
And the Chaldean patriarch who just spoke before I came out for this interview spoke about the fact that we have to end the sectarian tribalism,
mm-hmm.
where one element of Iraq pushes against another. Because while there is the autonomous Kurdistan, the monies and the governance within Baghdad must cooperate with Kurdistan so that the interests of the entirety are benefited. Because if one group is diminished, all of Iraq is diminished. Mm-hmm. And it's very important that we see Baghdad cooperating, not denigrating Kurdistan.
Yes.
And the people, the most important element of Kurdistan, and without it there would be no necessity, are the Kurdish people, mm-hmm. as well as all of the ethnicities that thrive here because of the protections the Kurdish government provides.
Right. Mr. Dave, as you know, after this conflict between Israel and Hamas, the militia from Iraq, they attacked the bases and American forces more than 50 times. Do you think that the American will take a reaction against the militia in Iraq?
At some point, the United States government must react to this in a strategic manner, mm-hmm. not in a tactical manner, which means that it will not any longer be tit for tat, 1-to-1. Mm-hmm. The United States must show its intention and will to use massive force to push back, because every single time there is conflict within Kurdistan and within Erbil and in al-Assad, in Al-Anbar region, as well as in other places where the intensity may be lower, it's still there. Because what it does is it diminishes the opportunity of all Iraqis, all of Kurdistan, because within conflict, as it's been explained to me, and we understand this, you can't expect banks to allow capital to flow in where whatever that capital creates, the capital formation, the manufacturing, the industrial capacity, the electrical capacity, where it's then going to be destroyed. Capital does not go where there's high risk. And in addition to that, there's something even more important. My American citizens are on these bases, and they're injured, and they're maimed, and they're killed when we have these over 50 and counting. We have not yet heard one of these elements within the militias saying that we are going to give peace a chance. And knowing that they're constantly warring in a low-level war it must be made clear to them unequivocally, that there is no hope for them if they continue. No hope for them to live another day when they perpetrate these crimes against people that are peaceful, as well as those who are trying to maintain peace.
Okay, Mr. Dave. Prime Minister Masroor Barzani yesterday addressed the international community about the peace in Middle East, especially for the Palestinians. But in the meantime, he said, what is useful and is good to have a solution for the Palestinian, the international community has to do the same with Kurdistan. What does it mean that?
It means there's hypocrisy, a great hypocrisy. But we need to remember one thing.
Yes.
There is no equivalency between a people that butcher another group in the early morning hours of October 7th, who butcher families, mothers, grandparents, fathers, children, and babies. They butchered them. There's no equivalency to Hamas and Kurdistan. We need to make that clear. And the hypocrisy is that while international forces are propping up Hamas, the average citizen throughout the Middle East needs to know these atrocities occurred. And there's such a thing as God's giving us the opportunity to defend ourselves and to end threats and to end the political elements that create these threats through military means. But the Kurdish people are good, they're decent, they are peace-loving, and they're living here, allowing those people who have been kicked out of Baghdad to live here peacefully. And you have military forces here through the Peshmerga who are protecting everyone without discrimination based on tribalism or any other ethnic arrangement. All people are protected here because you have a governance through good people who understand the rule of law.
But
and
they
that's
don't allow,
beautiful.
Okay, Mr. Dave, they don't allow us to have a state. Why? They ask the international community to give a state for the Palestinian.
Tens of millions of Kurds live within the region.
Yes.
And really where the comparison lies is with Israel, not with Hamas.
Yes.
The comparison with Israel is that Israel received statehood through the UN, through multiple steps prior to that, and finally, as the coalition of countries around the world realized the persecution of Jews around the world, that they needed a state. The people within Israel are not, the people within Israel of various ethnicities and religious backgrounds and faiths, they are not persecuted under the governing body that is in the Knesset. Within the Knesset, there are Arabs and Jews, and the only time that Arabs and Jews get into trouble is when they try to communicate with one another, and the Palestinian Authority attacks those Arabs who try to create cooperation. But here you have a situation where a similar circumstance occurs, where you have multiple tribes, multiple religious backgrounds, and in turn you have the opportunity for a beautiful culture. And I see no reason why Kurdistan, through a cooperation and under the Constitution of Iraq, has a statehood.
Right, Mr. Dave, in just a sentence, tell me, do we deserve, as a Kurd, do we deserve to have a state or not?
You do.
Thank you.
That was difficult.
Thank you.
That was 2 words.
Yes. Thank you very much. I appreciate
Thanks.
it. Mr. Dave Wallace, thank you very much for this quick interview with Kurdistan 24.
Well, I'm
Thank you.
looking
We
forward
appreciate
to
it.
seeing you and
Thank you.
talking to you again.
Thank you very much.
It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you.
While I'm visiting
Thank
Kurdistan.
you. I hope so. Thank you.
And
thank
thank
very
you so much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. بینەرانی بەڕێز بەم جۆرە ئەم دیدارەشمان لەگەڵ زۆر بەڕێز دەی وۆڵاس کاندیدی کۆمەریەکان بۆ کۆنگرس لە ویلایەتە یەکگرتووەکانی ئەمریکا لێرەدا کۆتایی تا دیدارێکی تر شاد و بەختەوەر بن خواتان لەگەڵ.